Hello and welcome to Dave's Wreaths and Things. My name is Dave and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a base wreath using the Pancake Method. Why don't I just get started and show you how I put it all together. What I'm going to be using today to make my wreath is a 14-inch wire wreath frame, and this comes from the Dollar Tree. And the mesh I'm using is a 9.5-inch by 19 feet long black and white Deco mesh from Michaels. And along with that, I'm going to be using white pipe cleaners for it. You can choose whatever color you want, whatever mesh you want, but these are the materials that I'm using today. And I'm going to start with my wreath, and I'm going to be creating a working wreath with this. So I have my wreath frame that has all these wires going all the way around and the crossbars, but I'm going to be doing the outside two wires and then the inside two wires to create my wreath form. And all I'm going to do for that is at the point where there's crossbars on the outside two wires, I'm going to wrap a pipe cleaner around that. So it's just a matter of twisting it a couple of times, making sure it's nice and secure, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. So again, I'm using those crossbars, the outside two wires, and just twisting them in place. And I'm going to do this 6 times. There's 6 crossbars, so I'm going to do it 6 times on those outside wires there. And I'm just finishing up my last one. And with that, just to make sure that they are nice and secured, I'm just going to put a couple of dabs of hot glue on either side of those pipe cleaners. And that way it just ensures that that pipe cleaner isn't going to move on me at all. So I do that in each of my 6 locations where I have those pipe cleaners. Now I'm going to work on the inner 2 wires right in the middle. So I put a dab of hot glue on the second inside wire, and then I'm going to wrap the pipe cleaner around around the inner 2 pipe cleaners right where I put the glue. And then I'm just going to give it a couple of good twists. And I'm just going to, like I did before, add a couple of dots on each side, and that's going to secure it in place. So again, just a little dab of glue on that second wire right in the middle, and then I'm going to feed the pipe cleaner through the 2 inner wires, making sure I grab that glue at the same time, and then I'm just going to give it a couple of good twists. We have 6 on the outside, and I'm going to do 6 on the inside as well. So that's going to give us a total of 12 stems. And here we go. This is our wreath form with our 12 stems all ready for our mesh. And here is our mesh. Like I said, it's a 9.5-inch wide mesh, and you can use 10-inch as well. That totally works. And I'm going to be using a rotary cutter. If you don't have one, a pair of scissors works perfectly fine. The rotary cutter does work really, really well. If you haven't got one yet and you're a fellow wreath maker, totally grab one. They're amazing. And I'm going to cut these at 20-inch lengths. So I'm just going to lay out my deco mesh, and with my rotary cutter, I'm going to cut out that 20 inches. So our piece is 9.5 inches wide by 20 inches long. And since we have 12 stems on our wreath form that we just created, I'm going to cut 12 pieces at the 20-inch mark. So here we go. I'm just going to continue cutting until I have all 12 of those pieces. And again, you can use any deco mesh that you want. It's totally up to you. You can use the same style. It doesn't matter. Here I'm just using the black and white. So now we have our wreath form all ready to go with our 12 stems. And I'm going to start on the outside. So I'm going to do the outside first, and then we're going to come in and do the inside. So all I'm going to do is lay out my piece of deco mesh, and this is curled downwards. So the natural curl faces down. And all you're going to do is place your thumbs right at the middle point, and that's going to be an anchor. And then you're going to squish it up with the rest of your fingers like I'm seeing here. So your thumbs are anchored down, And then you're just going to walk and gather that deco mesh using the rest of your fingers all the way until the very end. So all 20 inches of it, gather it up, and then you pinch it in the middle, and that creates a little bow tie. Then I'm going to come out to my outside stem, open it up a little bit, feed the middle right in between those two pipe cleaners, get it nice and snug in there, make sure I've got the middle, and then I'm just going to give it a couple of really good twists, just to make sure it's all secured in there. Once I finish with the twists, to create our little pancake, I'm just going to take the two ends and I'm going to overlap them a bit. So I'm overlapping them about 3 to 4 inches on each side. Just overlap your deco mesh on each side. And then at the very end, once you've done that, that's going to create our little pancake. Look at that. There we go. We've got our first pancake all done. And of course, now that I've said pancake so many times, who's hungry? Who's craving pancakes now? So now we're going to work on our second one, and we'll do this together in slow motion again. I'm going to lay it out with the curl down. And if you have something to place it down and hold the mesh, that works perfectly. I have these little rocks that my sister-in-law made, and I just love them. They work great. So anchor those thumbs, and then you're going to squish together that deco mesh using your fingers. And you want to try to keep track of where your middle is. For me, it's that white stripe, and that just helps as a guide to make sure you have the middle. And you keep squishing it all together until you hit the very end. And once you hit the end, just give it a little pinch. We have our bow tie, and now we're going to move to our wreath form, opening up those pipe cleaners, placing the middle down in between those two pipe cleaners, and then give it a couple of really good twists to make sure it's all nice and secured. And again, once it's secured, we're going to overlap it a bit. And here I'm going to show you how much I overlap it, about 3-4 inches on this one side here. And then I'm going to go over to the other side and do the exact same thing. Just overlap it 3 or 4 inches, and that's going to create that round pancake look. And look at that. We have started with our pancake wreath. I'm loving this black and white mesh. I just love how it turned out. And there we go, our last one on the outside wires. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the inside. For this one, I'm not going to use the extra pipe cleaners to add ribbon, but if you want to add ribbon, you can do it now before you do your second layer. But for this wreath, I'm not doing any ribbon on it. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting off the excess, and then I'm putting a little bit of hot glue just to secure everything down. Now, you don't have to do this method at all if you don't want to. It's just something that I do to make sure my wreaths are nice and secure. Again, if you wanted to add ribbons, I would totally do that. And if you're enjoying what's going on today, why don't you hit that subscribe button? I would totally appreciate it. And that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And back to our pancake wreath. I am going to be working on our second layer. So that's the inside layer. And I'm going to create the pancakes just by using the same method I did before with my anchored thumbs and walking and gathering that mesh in between my fingers. And once I'm all done, I just give it a little pinch to make sure I grab the center. And then I'm going to come into the inside wires, open up that pipe cleaner, place the ribbon in between it or the mesh in between those two pipe cleaners and give it a couple of really good twists, making sure everything's nice and secured. And our final step to create our pancake, we're just overlapping the two ends to create that round pancake look. And again, I'm not adding ribbon to mine, so I'm just going to cut the excess off. And to secure it all in place, I'm just going to use a little dab of hot glue just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And here I am doing the final two of my pancakes. and it's almost done. I've almost created my entire base wreath. And I just love this black and white mesh. I know I've told you guys before, but it just came out so, so well. I was just so happy with it. And that is your base pancake wreath. You can totally stop here. You can add embellishments if you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover my little pipe cleaners that are showing with these little pearls. It just kind of happened to come into my brain. I was just like, you know what? I can totally see these. Why don't I just do a little something to zhuzh it up and to hide those pipe cleaners? So all I'm doing is adding a little bit of glue, adding that little pearl, and look how great that looks covering up my pipe cleaners. That is your base wreath. And look at this. This is so thin compared to the puffy wreaths. This will work perfect if you have a storm door or second door to go in between your exterior door. It'll fit beautifully. And of course, a wreath needs a ribbon in my mind. So I had this ribbon that I had last year with lemons on it. It was nice and bright. So I thought I'd create a little bow. And all I'm going to do is start off creating my little loops. And then I'm just going to use a finger length, or width, I should say, and fold it over. And again, I'm going to use my fingers and folding it over. And I keep doing this about 7 or 8 times. And this is going to create our bow. And all you're going to do is cut off the excess at the end, because we don't need that excess right now. And then squish it in the middle. Grab that pipe cleaner, fold it in half. And then I'm going to fold the ribbon in half and give that pipe cleaner a couple of really good twists to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And I decided I wanted to add some tails on here as well. So I cut a couple of random pieces of my ribbon, and then I'm going to dovetail at the very end just to finish them off. I also have a video that goes through how to make this bow a little bit more in detail, so I'll link that down below if you want it as well. Then I'm just going to place the 2 tails on top of each other, find the middle, squish it and bend it, and then I'm just going to add that to the center of my bow. And once that's all nice and secured in there, I am ready to add my bow to my wreath. And I just love how this had like the checkered pattern on the back. So I decided to keep it like this. Here we go. I'm just deciding where I'm going to put the bow. Should I go on the side, at the top, at the bottom? I spent a couple of minutes trying to decide where to go, and I finally decided right at the top is going to be where this bow is going to go. So now all I'm going to do is attach it to my wreath right at the back on that wire frame. Give it a couple of good twists to make sure it's nice and secured, and I twist it around that wire from the wreath form a couple of times, and then I just add a little bit of glue so I know that that's not going to go anywhere. And here you go. All I have to do now is fluff up my beautiful bow, and my wreath is all completed. What do you guys think of it? What do you guys think of the pancake method? I just love this method. It is so nice looking, and I just love how this wreath turned out. My black and white checkered mesh with my bright lemon and green bow, and those little pearls every now and then as well. And I hope you enjoyed today's video, making our pancake base wreath. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you joining me today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.